I'd just like to say that it is an absolute honor to be here, to be among these amazing speakers and entrepreneurs. And thank you so much to the organizers of TiEcon for inviting me here and letting me share my story with you guys. So, a little background about me. I was born and raised right here in the Bay Area, right in Palo Alto. And my dad was actually a math professor at Stanford University, so we lived on campus. And there happened to be a table tennis table in one of the Stanford University laundry rooms. So every time my parents and I would go to do laundry, I would get to play with them on that table. And that was pretty much the first time I picked up a table tennis racket. I actually loved playing so much that I started to sneak clothes into the laundry hamper just so I could get the chance to go to the laundry room and play with my parents. When I was about 7 years old, a family friend brought me over to the local table tennis club, and that's when I truly saw the sport for what it is. Growing up, I didn't know that table tennis was a real sport. Not a lot of people in America do. A lot of people think, it's a garage game, you just stand there and swing your arms wildly around, and there's not much physical or athletic abilities involved. But the reality of it is, table tennis is an intensely difficult sport that requires the same mental and physical capacities as any other competitive sport. Just to give you a rough idea about the game, table tennis balls can travel up to 70 miles an hour, and when you're only 9 feet away from your opponent, you need some lightning-fast reflexes to react to those shots. And as if this isn't fast enough, players can put enough spin and rotation to be twice as much as a major league curveball. Just let that sink in. So at the young and impressionable age of 7, when I first stepped into that club, and I saw the whiz of balls and these incredible athletes running up and down all around the court, I was just completely and totally entranced. I immediately joined their youth training program. I started taking lessons from coaches, and table tennis became my entire life. It became all that I lived and breathed and ate. And I say ate because my parents bought me a table tennis table soon after I started really getting into it. And it was we didn't have enough room in our apartment to, have a separate room for it. So we just used it as a dining table. And just every time we ate, we'd put a tablecloth over it, had our family dinner or whatever. And then when I wanted to play with my parents or my sister or just practice my serves, just take the tablecloth off and just play. And I thought it was awesome, at least. So soon enough, the results started showing. I made the U.S. National Cadet Team when I was only 10 years old, the U.S. National Junior Team when I was 11 years old, the U.S. National Women's Team when I was 12 years old, and then finally the dream, the U.S. Olympic Team when I was 16 years old. And even to this day, I still can't believe it. It was by far the most incredible and exhilarating experience for me to be able to go out there, put on the United States flag, represent my country, and compete on the world's biggest stage in sports. But the opportunities didn't stop there. I traveled the world competing in international competitions, meeting new people, and experiencing new cultures. I was living the life. There's not much to complain there. But at the same time, at such a young age, it started to go to my head. The pressure started to build up, expectations rose, and I began to focus only on the winning. I only wanted the titles and the ranking, and everything else just became unimportant to me, to the point where I wasn't the same little girl who snuck clothes into the laundry hamper just so I could get the chance to play 30 minutes, maybe an hour maximum. Instead, I was an unhappy girl who dreaded going to every single practice and every single tournament for the fear of losing and disappointing not only myself, but other people. It wasn't until I went to college at UC Berkeley when I was able to really reflect on my experience, my career, and myself. I thought I was completely done with table tennis for good, and that's usually what happens to table tennis athletes in America. We're really good at the youth and junior level, and once we reach university, there's no professional league, it's not an NCAA sport, and most people just quit. And I gotta say, it was pretty refreshing and fun, just to have a break from table tennis and just be a normal teenager for a little bit. But I quickly realized that I just felt empty. Table tennis is such a huge part of my identity and who I am, and such a passion that I have. I realized I could not stay away any longer. And so going against all the warnings and advice of others who told me to stay in school and stick with my education, that table tennis would lead me nowhere in America, I decided to drop everything, to take a year away from school and pursue the 2016 Rio Olympics. I trained in an elite academy in Vienna, Austria for 6 months, and I played in several professional European leagues. And the rest of the time, I trained right here in Milpitas, California, at my home club, ICC Table Tennis Center. And it wasn't exactly easy, training 6 to 8 hours a day, on and off the table, playing more than I ever played in my entire life. There were definitely days when I just did not want to go to practice anymore, where I just wanted to sleep in, lie in bed, and watch Netflix or whatever. I was definitely envious of my friends in college, looking at their Instagram pages or Facebook pages, feeling like they were having the time of my life, and I was here training and grueling. But I reminded myself every time that I wanted to quit that this was my passion and this was my dream. And all those moments of doubt, they're all part of the process. And it ended up paying off. I made the 2016 US Olympic team. And if you ask me what I remember most from that experience, there's this one moment, walking in the opening ceremony, where I felt like time and space just stopped. I looked up at the flashing lights, at the roaring crowd. I looked around me, surrounded by these incredible athletes and people who poured every ounce of their being and fiber into their one sport or their one discipline. And, Serena Williams to my left, Kevin Durant to my right, Michael Phelps in front of me, holding the Team USA flag. And I can't even describe it clearly now, but it was just a feeling of complete, just humble gratitude to know that everything in my life, everything I had worked for was for this very moment. All the blood, sweat, and tears, all the sacrifices and losses and failures, it was all for this moment right here, and that's what made it all worth it. So if there's anything you can take away from my story, it's to enjoy the journey and be truly passionate about what you do. Hard work, determination, motivation, all of these things stem from passion. And while winning and reaching these set goals and accomplishments may seem like the most important thing in the world right now, especially in the Silicon Valley where there's so much pressure to succeed, it's the journey and the process that really counts. Because I can tell you from my experience, success will come to those who have the passion and love for what they do, whether it's pursuing to be a doctor, a lawyer, a musician, performer, and hopefully after today, some table tennis players. Finding that joy in what you do and embracing the journey is what will make that end goal that much sweeter. And I want to leave you all with a quote that I personally find super inspiring and meaningful, and I think it can apply to all aspects of life. This is by Mia Hamm, who is a World Cup champion and multiple Olympic gold medalist and one of the greatest legends in soccer. Somewhere behind the athlete you've become and the hours of practice and the coaches who have pushed you is a little girl who fell in love with the game and never looked back. Play for her. Thank you. Okay, I think we have some time for some questions.
I came to know about you through the Topspin documentary.
Oh, yeah.
I picked up your story, and then I liked your page, and I make comments every once in a while. So I'm a fan. I'm so surprised I didn't know you were here. So congratulations on the national championship.
Thank you so much.
The #1 spot. That's
right.
Awesome. When I watched your documentary, you were positioned as like the underdog, having to constantly compete against #1 spot. What changed between after the documentary and where you are now? What was the inflection point, and can you talk a little bit about that?
Right, so if some of you don't know, I was in a documentary. They followed us, me, my teammate, and another guy for about 3 years, from 14 to 16 years old. And in the documentary, there was this relationship between me and this other girl, and we were huge competitors and teammates, and she was always on top of me, and I always felt like I tried my best to beat her, but I felt like there was something mental that I could not push through. And I think it really wasn't until I went to college that I kind of just fell in love with the sport again, because my whole life, I loved table tennis from the beginning, but at the same time, like I said before, it became about the winning and the titles. And I think after going to college and realizing that I love table tennis just because it's my passion, I think that's when I really broke through.
My question is just related to, are you going to go back to Berkeley and pursue some non-table tennis related career, or are you still passionate about table tennis?
I'm still passionate about table tennis, and I always will be. But right now, I'm currently back at UC Berkeley, and I'm just trying to balance table tennis and school right now. Freshman year, I didn't really practice at all. I was just trying to be a normal teenager or whatever. But I've really learned, and I'm still working on it, just to manage my time better. And hopefully I'll graduate before 2019, and then I'm hoping to take that year off and train and go all out for 2020 Tokyo.